What's up? This is Joe.
And Jesse.
We're Modern Chemistry, and we're hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
I'm really enjoying the album. Like I mentioned before camera, Fever Dream is like probably my favorite on the track, on the album.
That's awesome.
But let's talk about the production of this album, especially working with Paul Levitt.
Yeah, Paul was awesome. We're huge Dangerous Summer fans, so like that was probably like the main selling point. Like those guitar tones and stuff were just things that like we've always loved. And
right.
You know, we were talking to a few different people about working with them, but Paul was really stoked. Like he really liked our music already, so we're like, we want to go with someone who's into what we do,
right,
and who knows what we're gonna want. And it was just awesome. We stayed there for a month and got it done. We got it done.
It was nice. We got to like settle into the studio and
yeah,
like really just make it home. So it was a lot of fun.
Now for me, like you guys are new artists for me.
Yeah.
I've never heard anything prior to this record, but I know you guys have like 3 other EPs out. So how different was the production process this time around, now that you have those 3 EPs under your belt?
They're all so different. The first one we just did like in our friend's basement. I mean, he was like a local big producer, you know, but we just did it in his basement, and like he wasn't really a producer as much as just an engineer for us, you know. And then the next one we went to another studio, which was an actual studio in a garage, but like he was awesome too. And the next one was with Adam. We did it with Adam and our buddy Mike Pepe, and we went down to North Carolina with them, and that was like 4 days of just real intense, like 12-hour days. And because we were in the middle of like a bunch of shows, and we just drove down there and then drove right back up. It was like a crazy process. So each one's been so amazingly different.
Yeah.
This one was cool to be able to be in one place for an entire month, and like it gives you more time to be able to say, oh wait, that guitar tone, was that wrong on this song? And like you can go back and like just change little things like that.
And you know what you're doing.
Exactly, exactly, yeah.
So writing wise, how have you guys seen like the writing actually progress in between these records?
Like our writing style, like we've always collaborated a lot. We spend a lot of time crafting the songs and working on them and getting them where we want them, whether it be Joe spending a lot of time writing lyrics or just us kind of jamming them out and figuring out the way the song should flow, and then getting it to the studio and working on demos and sending them back and forth. Like that's the fun part. That's what we love doing. We love writing music. So
yeah, it's changed a lot. We got a rehearsal space about a year and a half ago, and that changed everything. It went from, you know, we started in basements at college at Rutgers, and like so we had a place, and then all of a sudden we all graduated and had nowhere to go, and we'd have to spend like $25 an hour to like practice, and that wasn't working for writing.
Right.
So we kind of struggled with that for a while, and then we got this awesome rehearsal space, still in New Brunswick, and we were allowed to go, and we still are allowed to go whenever we want. So we would just stay there for like overnight, and I would go there on my days off and just literally just write demos, record demos, like set it up our own little studio almost just for demoing. And then they'd come and I'd be like, all right, I wrote this today, should we try to work on it? And like it really just helped us get everything together, and like we were able to spend more time crafting it all. I mean, and it was different. We did go in with the mindset of like, we want an album. We wanted this to feel like an album, and we haven't done that yet. So that was a fun process to figure out exactly how these songs are going to live together.
Yeah. And as far as that, like the 11 tracks that are on the record, I'm sure you guys wrote a ton more that, you know, obviously are not on the album. But what made these 11 songs like everything in gold?
It's a great question. What do you think?
Well, like when we were saying, like when we were crafting this album, we had ideas that we wanted to do. When we were writing certain songs, we were like, you know, this one goes last, this song goes last, and like everything on the album, it's there for a reason, and we crafted.
Right, so you guys were figuring out the track listing while you guys were writing the songs?
Yeah, everything in gold, the song, and Trade Winds the song. Pretty much the whole time we knew when we were writing those that they were the anchors, front and back.
Okay.
Fever Dream, obviously, like that started out almost actually just as I wrote this like just the guitar, and it was just going to be like this instrumental thing, and then they convinced me maybe we should make it to like more of a full song, but that was supposed to be another little anchor in the middle, and so it kind of all just, the whole track listing wasn't made before we finished, but like we definitely had ideas in our head of how this could feel like the album we wanted it to.
Right.
Yeah.
We feel like we only had one chance to release our first record, like our first full length, so it's like we've been dreaming about this our whole lives. So we wanted to make it just this piece of art that we could always just love and just love what it is.
Right. Speaking of dreaming, let's jump into Fever Dream.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm telling you guys, like I'm excited with that track. Like the vulnerability on that track is amazing. But tell me what it was like writing it, because I mean it seems so personal. I feel like it's something that's like so hard to write.
Yeah, I think most of the vulnerability really for me came from literally like the guitar, the music. It just started. I wrote this. I remember it being in my basement. I think I like just bought a reverb pedal. I was just messing around with it, and I wrote this song, and I was like, oh man, like it feels real heavy. It just feels so heavy. And after that, like writing the lyrics, it kind of was one of those things. It was more about the feeling than a specific time in my life. I knew what it had to feel like, what it should be, and it was called Fever Dream because those lyrics, those verses, it's all like if you read it, it's all just feels like you're just like spinning, like you don't really know exactly what's happening. Some phrases like you're like, what does that have to do with this? But it kind of all still comes together. So yeah, I mean, we like to get vulnerable. We like to get that sadness out there and not be afraid to express it, because other people feel that too.
The other thing that caught me with that track is your vocals.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, throughout the album, like the vocals, and I mean the whole band is doing amazing, but it's like I feel it's also hard to get those high notes throughout a whole track. Like,
yeah.
You pulled that. So, is there any? Do you have a background in like vocal training? Is this something that you picked up on your own?
Yeah, I was just trying for years, and I was in some bands when I was like 17, 18, and then I stopped. I mean, I was in bands from 11, but I was singing around 17, 18 years old. Stopped, and in college I started like just messing around, like making beats, and then like just trying all these different things with vocals like myself, and I think that gave me a little more room to be more confident once I started this band with vocals. And I don't really have. I've went to like vocal lessons like 2 or 3 times. I should probably go back. And yeah, no, I just try things, and I try a lot. I try harder and harder. I don't really have any training though. But yeah, with that song, in my head, it didn't come out this way, but in my head I was like, oh, I want it to feel like Bon Iver or something. Okay. So that was kind of like where I was at. Yeah, and like that's not the way it necessarily came out in the end. It came out like us, but yeah. So I really just listen to other artists, and I go like, oh well, he's doing falsetto there. Maybe I should try to do that here and see how it sounds, you know?
And accidentally do it throughout the whole song.
Accidentally, yeah, make it happen. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I love vocalists like Stephen Jenkins, where like he'll do falsetto, but you could tell like he's just winging it, and like that kind of vibe is really cool to me.
Right.
Yeah.
We have thought about maybe having a girl sing on that track.
But I like my
voice for a little while, and then we heard him give it a go, and we're like, you got the pipes, you got it.
Obviously, Fever Dream was very vulnerable, but was there a specific track that was probably the hardest to create, to get out there? Maybe you guys didn't feel comfortable releasing it.
Yeah.
Maybe it got trashed, it got rewritten. Like, was there a song like that?
I think Demons was pretty. Not that it was like trash, but like we spent so long working on It's Been a While, Demons. It's like very different for us from the rest of the songs. Yeah. We just kept like going. And we're like, this is like, we knew the whole time that this was nothing like our other stuff, but we're like, we have to just make sure this is the best version of something new, just to show people that.
Right.
So it was a process. We all were doing stuff that was more difficult than the usual thing for us. So It was cool to get out of our comfort zone on that one.
Now, if you could talk about the album to someone that's never heard of you guys before, like, what is it that you would want them to get out of Everything in Gold?
I want them to enjoy the journey of it. Like, I feel like it's a story. It's got its own speed to it, and from top to bottom, like, these are songs we're proud of. So it opens up with something that kind of feels like a rebirth for us. And it's just a whole process of an album. As far as lyrical content, like, it's always going to be a story, and it's always going to be kind of a journey through Joe's head or Brendan's head. And musically, like, we just got to craft these songs, and I'm a drummer, so I just got to rock out from top to bottom. Like, it's a great record. Like, we had so much fun putting it together, and like, I think that comes across when you listen to these songs, that we had a good time over the course of a year writing these songs, and I think it'll take you on a journey as you listen to the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
You guys are currently on tour with Taking Back Sunday and Every Time I Die. Yeah. What else can we expect with you guys for the remainder of summer and the year?
Nothing's out there yet, but I mean, this year is gonna for sure just be us pushing the heck out of this album. We've been waiting to play these songs for so long. Like, we recorded this a year ago, and we've been writing them for so long that we're just real excited to get it out to as many people as possible. Keep playing it.
Now let's be honest here. How was Adam Lazzara on his debut as a producer?
Incredible. Honestly, incredible. He was really good at since we only had 4 days to record, before that, I would send him like voice demos of us playing, and then he would like listen to them, and he'd call me and be like, "Hey, this is cool. When you guys get together, can you try to do this instead?" And then like we would redo it, and like it just was this like nonstop process of like, you know, we were like just long distance working on something, and it was just so cool for him to actually like really care about it. And I've told everyone this though, like as much as he was like helpful and on board, he was also really good at like if we wanted it a certain way, he wasn't going to push us out of it. He knew they were our songs, and he respected that, while still giving us so many cool ideas that we probably would have not done.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was easy to tell that he, like, even from the early process of sending ideas back and forward, he was always putting his heart into it.
Yeah.
So that whole process was great. And then when we got into the studio, he was just there for us 100% and just ready to help us nail these songs and try to get us to give our best possible performances. And it always felt good being supported in that studio.